Imagine if tomorrow global shipping stopped, the internet went dark, and every single major city burned to the ground. 3,000 years ago, the entire civilized world hit the delete button in a single generation. We're not talking about isolated tribes. We are talking about a highly advanced, deeply interconnected network of superpowers, the legendary Mycenaean Greeks, the fierce Hittites, the wealthy empire of Canaan, and the golden new kingdom of Egypt. They had massive international trade networks, complex bureaucracies, professional militaries, and towering architecture. And then, around 1177 BC, it all vanished. Cities didn't just decline, they were erased from history. Literacy plummeted into a dark age. Trade stopped. So how does an entire globalized world completely collapse in a matter of decades? Let's get into it. For centuries, historians blame the entire apocalypse on one group of mysterious villains, the Sea Peoples. According to ancient Egyptian inscriptions, out of nowhere, a massive, terrifying confederation of seafaring raiders swept across the Mediterranean. They moved like a locust swarm, burning cities, crushing armies, and toppling empires as they marched towards Egypt. The Hittite Empire? Smashed. The legendary city of Troy? Burned. But modern archaeology tells a completely different story. The Sea Peoples weren't some unstoppable alien invasion force. In reality, blaming them for the Bronze Age collapse is like blaming a broken window for a house collapsing during an earthquake. They were a symptom of the disaster, not the root cause. Think about it. Who flees their homeland on ships with their wives, children, and entire households just to go raiding? Refugees. The Sea Peoples were desperate, displaced populations fleeing a world that was already falling apart. So what turned the Mediterranean into a post-apocalyptic wasteland? It wasn't one single event. It was history's ultimate perfect storm. First, nature turned against them. Core samples from the Mediterranean reveal that the region suffered a massive centuries-long climate shift. A mega-drought hit the agricultural hearts of these empires. Crops failed year after year. To make matters worse, archaeologists have found evidence of a phenomenon called an earthquake storm. Between 1225 and 1175 BC, a series of catastrophic seismic events rattled the region, physically fracturing city walls and leaving communities incredibly vulnerable. Suddenly, you have millions of starving people, ruined cities, and zero food. Naturally, this triggered interval revolts. The common people looked at their god kings, realized they couldn't even provide bread, and decided they'd had enough. Peasants revolted and civil wars broke out within the empires. And this is exactly when the displaced Sea Peoples arrived on the horizon. The timing couldn't have been worse. But here's the real kicker, and the scariest lesson for our modern world: system collapse. The Bronze Age civilizations were too successful. They were hyper-interconnected. Mycenaean Greece needed copper from Cyprus and tin from Afghanistan to manufacture bronze, the crucial technology for their weapons and tools. No tin meant no bronze. No bronze meant no military defense or agricultural tools. Because every empire relied on the other for survival, they formed a fragile domino chain. When the drought knocked over the Hittites, Egyptian trade halted. When internal revolts took out the Canaanite trade hubs, Greece starved. It was a cascading failure. Once the complex global supply chain snapped, there was no backup plan. Within a single generation, the complex web of civilization unraveled completely. Egypt was the only superpower to technically survive, but they were so battered and bankrupt from fighting off the chaos that they never truly recovered their former glory. The Bronze Age collapse is proof that progress is not a one-way street. Civilization is a fragile agreement built entirely on predictable weather, open trade routes, and social stability. When those systems break down simultaneously, a dark age can happen fast. It took over 400 years for Greece to even learn how to write again. We like to think our modern globalized world is bulletproof, but we rely on digital clouds, fragile shipping lanes, and complex supply chains every single day. If history teaches us anything, it's that the higher you build, the harder the system resets. What do you think is the biggest vulnerability in our modern world today? Let me know in the comments below. If you learned something new today, hit that subscribe button, smash that like button, and we'll see you the next time on Learn. Thanks for watching.